Next up, we have a very special guest, John Nelson. I don't even get to say anything. Everyone's clapping. John Nelson, Maps and UX at Esri, YouTube celebrity, Esri UC Map Wizard, a blog author, a North Arrow subject matter expert, and a Michigan neighbor. I first met John at the Esri UC back in 2023. Coulter and I boldly introduced ourselves to him at the Map Wizardry session and asked him to come here today. After some emailing and schedule checking, it became a reality, and of course others have tried before, but I was lucky enough to have the scheduling gods on my side this time. Without further ado, here is John Nelson.
While we're switching decks, I was curious, I just asked Kimberly, how do you say the name of this organization? WLIA? I've been saying WLIA. I just say it. I just spell it out. I say it phonetically, but Kim told me everybody just goes ahead and says all four letters, including the W. WLIA, like a radio host. WLIA. Anyway. I'm logging in, and my caps lock was on. I'm in. Woo-woo! So, show of hands. Does anybody else pronounce this organization phonetically? And we got one. I do. There's two phonetic WLIA pronounce. I'm just going to go ahead and say WLIA. Come on. It's so much easier. WLIA. WLIA. But WLIA does make me sound like a radio host. I kind of like that. WLIA. Can you all see this beautiful state before you? I'm not going to say the map is beautiful, but the state is. How's the audio? Am I okay in the back? Okay, how's my Midwestern accent? Comfortable? Familiar? Good, I love you. I love you all. Thank you for this amazing opportunity and invitation to chat with you all. Yes, I was invited in 2003, and I remember that chat. It was right after a presentation, and I was like, I have no idea. But I'm glad we got it worked out. I couldn't last year, but I could this year. I'm so happy. Today I'm going to talk to you about geographic data. Anybody remember that old quote? How many of you have actually said this? Well, no, actually, 80% of all data is geographic. 80% of data has a geographic component. Who here has said that before? We've all thought it. We've all heard it, that's for sure. Well, here I am, John Nelson. I work at a software vendor based in Southern California. I work remotely, though, in Michigan, which is just to the east of us, I'm told. East of here, over a body of water. I've been at Esri for almost 10 years, which is nearly a decade. It seems weird to say that. This is my 10th year at Esri because I still feel kind of new, like the young punk, even though I'm not young. Look at this. Oh, speaking of which, I mean, this is when you work at Esri, they take your photograph on your first day and they put it on your badge. If you want to experience an existential crisis, just stroll around Esri's campus on Redlands and take a look at the face in front of you and then just kind of casually glance down at the badge that's hanging around your neck. And the sands of time stop for no one. 10 years, almost 10 years. Do you know what else has been around for 10 years? This is the 10-year anniversary of the dress. Remember the dress? Oh, dress. Oh gosh, I'm just getting nervous thinking about the dress. The dress was the closest thing to a fight that I've had with my wife in the last 10 years. What? Yellow and white? Obviously, this dress is blue and black. Am I right? Okay. Whoa, I see a lot of puzzled faces. Okay, we got some newbies. This is going to be interesting. How many of you see this dress as blue and black? Raise your hand. How many of you see this as white and gold? Weird, right? It's about like 2/3 and 1/3, which is the research I did. That ratio holds up for the greater population. Congratulations, Wisconsin. We're a suitable sample size for the rest of the population. If you want to actually like grab this on your phone and get into a fight with your spouse or anyone, scan that little QR code up there and you can find it. Because I'm here to inspire division in fighting. So I was like, how is this even possible? And I'll tell you, it was the first time that I looked into my wife's eyes and I thought, this being is navigating a different frame of reality. Like her perceptions are her own and they aren't necessarily the same as mine. It was crazy. It was crazy. This is the best description of how this phenomenon works. So you got people who think, well, I'm just looking at a crappy cell phone snapshot of a dress in like kind of yellowy light through a scratched up lens on a flip phone camera. And other people see the white and gold dress as like in kind of like dim bluish environment. These look like different dresses, right? I don't know why the person illustrating this chose to draw the dress as a pilgrim. But anyway, look at this, watch this. What? This is what's happening in our crazy brains. Same thing. So what kind of geographer would I be if I didn't fire up ArcGIS Pro and give it a background in the same color as one of the color sampled portions of this dress? So here we are in Wisconsin. I've added data from Living Atlas. Does anybody here contribute this data? I do. Thank you. So I use this data all the time.
I made the 2024 layer. We made our own account.
I know you did, and I thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I use the county health rankings data, Wisconsin. Just beautiful souls in Wisconsin contributing to the whole country. I use this all the time. Anytime I need some thematic data, boom. And it's every year, so I can do like time-based comparisons and stuff. And it's fascinating because it's like, here are the myriad ways that humans are just destroyed. Here are various ways that we ruin ourselves or are miserable in different ways. It's fascinating. So this isn't a national conference, this is a conference for Wisconsin. So let me open up the definition query. It's called a definition query, but really we're filtering. Definition query? Can't we just call it a filter?
Yeah.
Right? Definition query. Yes. Put in, write down little ideas on note cards and send them up to me, and I'll take them back with me to next time I'm in Redlands, which is probably like 8 years from now. I have no idea. So here you are, looking at the beautiful state of Wisconsin with this amazing data. Thanks again. What if I were to pan over and just turn on this georeferenced image that I have here? And what if I were to open up this and take a look at what do we have available to us? I'm going to change the classification scheme, and look at those colors. Those default colors have to go. Let me grab this and just pop open this eyedropper and bloop, sample this color. I'm going to sample this color. I'm going to go bananas with my sampling. Bring on all these colors. And now we're constructing a map based on the mysterious, enigmatic colors of this dress. I don't know if it's a blue or black dress. I don't know if it's a white and gold dress. But we can make a map sampling these exact colors. I'll make the outlines thicker and that kind of gold color. So I'm going to say, how about people who thought the dress looked white and gold? Does the map look white and gold? I mean, this is an honest question. I'm not trying to corner you or anything. I'm just curious. I'm also interested, has anybody ever seen it both ways? Raise your hand if you can see both blue and black or white and gold. Okay, keep your hands up. Security, could we have these people escorted out of here? We need these people just out. I don't know what's going on in their minds. Yeah, there we are. So there is how you can make a color perception fight instigator map in ArcGIS Pro. Now, here's how my family breaks. White and gold versus blue and black. This is right down the middle. I happen to be team blue-black, and there's good old Danielle there with team white-gold. Man, was that confusing and weird and frustrating. So go forth and stir up dissent and division amongst everyone you know. Here I am. I'm joining you from Michigan, across the way. Beautiful Lake, Wisconsin. I flew over yesterday. Here's my home. In a month or two, it's going to look like this. I'm optimistic. The daffodils, right? I'm just waiting for the daffodils are one of my favorite occurrences in nature because they pop up early and they're like, hey, John, guess what? Winter doesn't last forever. Springtime's a-coming. And I just love it. It's great. Cool thing about daffodils is you plant them once and they just keep coming back year after year. You don't have to like put them in little peat pots and tend to them and put them in a greenhouse and they all wither and die anyway. I love things that are bulbs. Plant it once, enjoy it forever. They're beautiful in that way. My wife planted those. Danielle, team white gold, planted those gold daffodils. They look blue to me, but her dad put in, Dino Pasquale put in that sidewalk, her dad, and she planted the daffodils. Good team effort. That's what it looks like right now. This is what it looks like when I left. All right? But it's not always going to look like that. Come on, daffodils. We're all rooting for you. Good old Narcissus. I don't know how to say that. Narcissus. Here's a representation of daffodils by a misunderstood Dutch artist. I just love them. I don't know. This is my family. So I've shown you my kids, but these are the kids that I grew up with. There's 4 of us. Typical family. There's my older brother Bryce not touching Cheryl, and she's horrified at the very idea that he would touch her. And it was the 80s, right? So she was probably saying this. And do we have any middle children here? Raise your hand if you're a middle child. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. We really appreciate that you came out here, and I just want to focus on middle children and say I'm so glad that you came, and we appreciate you and we love you. I'm the youngest child. Just, hey, rocks. Yeah, everything's... we're still pretty close. I like to send them carpool karaoke videos from time to time. Here I am in first grade. So we're from the Midwest, and I give talks here and there, but it's comforting for me to... I feel like I'm among my people. You get it. We're raised in similar situations. This is what you do when you greet a stranger. You don't ignore a stranger on the sidewalk when you pass by. You'd have to be a monster, right? And I was looking at this and I was like, well, let's dissect this a little bit. What are the components to the Midwest greeting a stranger on the sidewalk nod? Well, first of all, there's a pained grimace. We're stoic, we're survivors. The weak died off generations ago, or moved to Florida, United States. You kind of shake it like a couch and all of like the easy stuff floats down to Florida. The sturdy folk stay up north where we endure winters. But on the other hand, we're very guarded. The eyes reveal nothing. The eyes reveal nothing. Okay? And you put it together and somehow ironically it's a polite greeting. Okay? So you know that 45 degrees in March, what are we wearing? Shorts. All right. That's right. It was 45 degrees when I left and I saw my son walking out the door for school. He was wearing a hoodie and shorts. He calls hoodies jackets now. Kids call them jackets. Isn't that weird? It's not a weird Michigan thing. It's just a weird him thing, I think. Your windshield is completely encased in ice. Are you going to scrape and defrost the whole thing before you get behind the wheel and barrel ahead with 2 tons of iron? No. You're going to chisel out a spot this big and just pray. We don't have time for that kind of thing. We don't have a single word for second person plural. So we cobble this together. This is what we say, you guys. It seems weird. Hey, you guys. What's even weirder is when we try to attach a possessive state to this. Your guys is. You think you don't say that? We say it. Just think about it. Hey, could you move your guys' car real quick? You've said that before. Would you mind moving your guys' car real quick? We also like to say real quick at the end of something, just to soften it for some reason. You can't just say, can you move your guys' car? Because that's rude, and we can't possibly be rude. So we have to say real quick. I tried that in Massachusetts. And I said, hey, would you mind moving your guys' car real quick? And it was to my landlord, and she said, real quick? And I realized I was not in Michigan. So this is about the geographic region. It's very geographic, the you guys and you guys is. Not the whole country is plagued with this. A lot of people have their own actual words for this. This one makes a lot more sense. You all, right? It's just a conjunction of you and all. You all. This makes sense. We're not going to say it. I mean, we're not going to say this because that's what these people say. It's not for us. We can appreciate it, but we're not ready to adopt it. What about this? Did you know this is a thing? Yeah. Yeah. People say it in Pittsburgh. This guy says yins for you all or you guys. This guy, the Steelers fan, he's got his hard hat on, but you know he's like an IT manager for Carnegie Mellon. Okay. What about this one? This is a pretty particular geographic. This guy says it. Also, my father-in-law, Dino Pasquale, who's from Detroit, says it. We say things like, no, yeah. What does that even mean? If you travel out of the Midwest and you say, no, yeah, imagine how confusing that is for people. What does it really mean? Yeah, of course it means yes. We all know that. But what about this? All you have to do is switch them around. And it's not just no, it's like, no. What about this? Take it to the bank. 100%. But we soften it. Yeah, no, sure. Oh, what about this weird, particular geographic conundrum? I'm just saying. So watch out using this outside of the Midwest, because if you think about it, it's always followed by something that you've said that's probably offensive, but you don't give them permission to take offense at what you just said, because you were just saying. I'm just saying. And then the other person's like, oh, okay, you were just saying. It's okay. So it's really fun to chat about these little cultural trades that we make between Wisconsin and Michigan. Michigan, specifically Lansing, invented the olive burger. Anybody here eat an olive burger before? I'm curious about this one. So here's more data collection. Raise your hand if are you familiar with the olive burger? Oh, okay. Andrew, so Michigan's got some more work to do. This is a map scraped from Yelp reviews for olive burger, or the menus from Yelp. Kate Berg actually made this map. Kate Berg is from Michigan. But look at that. We've got this cultural exchange happening. It's taken its time. You know, the Lake Michigan's a big thing, and you know it'll take some time. But give it a shot. If you see olive burger on the menu, rave about it, and make sure that they carry it, and their other stores carry it too. I actually visited the place that is responsible for the first olive burger. An olive burger, if you don't know, is diced up olives and olive brine mixed in with mayonnaise and slathered on top of a burger. Usually very few other toppings, but you can get lettuce, maybe tomato, depending on like your level of heretical olive burger tolerance. Like, what else am I going to put on this? Best olive burger I've ever had is in a little kind of speakeasy joint behind what looks like a derelict convenience store. I call them convenience stores in Michigan. Do we call them convenience stores here? Okay, store attached to a gas station, sells some snacks and ho-hos and Twinkies. Okay. So we're giving you the olive burger. You're welcome. You're giving us cheese. Thank you so much. Look at this gigantic block of cheese that was, every year one of these shows up, and they have to wheel it in with those, forklift. They drop it off with a forklift. The Wisconsin cheese. They call it the Big Cheese. And it's got Wisconsin proudly stamped all over it. Look at that map. And I gave you actually a unit of scale. It's only this big, right? Have you ever said, I'm crushing your cheese? I put together a quick spatio-temporal volume timeline for you all. So this goes fast, and this cheese is available at my local lawn and garden supply store. So here it is in early November, and I like to go back and see how quickly it's consumed. Bit by bit, Wisconsin is becoming Michigan, or is Michigan becoming Wisconsin? We consume little bits of Wisconsin every day. I mean, look at this hunk of Wisconsin that we're completely appropriating. Late November, mid-December, look how low it is. They can start stacking things up on it, and Sparrow can get hoisted up behind there. There's Danielle posing behind it for scale. You're welcome. She does not like having her picture taken for scale next to a gigantic wheel of cheese. But I did that for you. I did that for WLIA. Christmas Eve, I even went back just to see what the cheese situation was. Sparrow and Clover were with me, looking cool. And then, right before New Year, there it is. It's all gone now, by the way. It's completely been absorbed into the biome of Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, this is the Esri, Michigan Regional Office. Pretty small office, cozy. This is what it looks like 10 months of the year. You know how it goes. Speaking of which, this is where we are, okay? Don't fool yourself, right? We're stoic, we're hardy folks. We know that we'll get a blip of mid-40s once in a while, but it's not gonna stay. We've got like 3 or 4 more blizzards ahead of us. Don't put the snowblower away quite yet. I am located in this part of Michigan. How else could I show you where I'm from? I'm in the outskirts of Lansing, Michigan, a little cute little town called Grand Ledge, located right there on my convenient map. I grew up right up here, an hour north, in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Nice, beautiful, glacially scraped tundra, wind-swept plain of Mount Pleasant. My dad lives up here. We're always visiting him in Mackinac, at the tip of the mint. Anybody ever visit Mackinac, on that weird island where nobody's allowed to have cars? And it's all horse poop everywhere. And it's like you go to this place that's just covered in horse poop, and you're supposed to buy fudge. It's like, welcome to Mackinac Island. Please buy fudge. And there's just horse poop all over the place. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? Humans are weird. It's a great resource, this hand map. You can actually use it for the Upper Peninsula, which is great. You have to have a friend handy who can point things out, of course. I mean, if you live in the Upper Peninsula, you can't ever just be by yourself and describe where you live. And one day I was at a NACIS conference a few years ago. Met a guy named Nick. Nick, where are you, Nick? There's Nick waving his map. Hey, Nick. And I say, hey, Nick, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Wisconsin. Oh, what part? And he proceeded to take out his hand map and point to where he was from, I was shocked. I was almost as shocked as when Danielle saw the dress as white and gold. I couldn't believe it. What are you doing, Nick? That's a Michigan thing. Michigan people use their hand as a map. He's like, what? And I took a look at his, yes. Hold on here, right? I was a bit of a gatekeeper, I'm ashamed to say. The Michigan map is ours. We do the hand thing. No, we do it too. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. After the shock wore off, I realized, it is a pretty handy thing. I promise I did not intend that. That was a no pun intended literate. Nick, why don't you come up here? Let's collaborate on the map again. Nick, Rompa, everybody. Please welcome Nick as my co-host. Okay, you ready? Okay. Michigan, Upper Peninsula. Where's Wisconsin?
Right there.
Anybody from
Right
Minnesota?
there.
Get up here. I need one Minnesotan. Come on. Who's from Illinois? Get up here, Illinois. Come on. Okay. I'll wait for Illinois. Okay. Okay, we've got Michigan, Upper Peninsula. All right, Wisconsin. Illinois. That's collaborative cartography. But I get it, right? Why not use your hand as a map? It's always there. Where's this? Say it out loud. What are we looking at? Good old Milwaukee, NBA champions. Beautiful Milwaukee. What about this? Half hour north of here. Madison. It's beautiful. It works. I've been to the Mars Cheese Castle. A lot of cheese. Okay. Yeah, that was like, here we go. Took me a while to find something that wasn't just hugging the east coast of Wisconsin. It's really biased place name-wise. There's a lot of benefits to using your hand as a map. I mean, we all know that it's environmentally responsible. You don't have to outsource any materials, have them shipped in. No diesel was consumed in the preparation and delivery of this map. Very durable. It could last up to 100 years if treated well, carefully. You just roll it up and put it in your pocket. It's everywhere you need it to be. And what I think is especially cool, especially amongst GIS folks, is it's multi-scale, right? You can zoom in, you can zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. It's a slippy technology. By the way, does anyone here struggle with the notion of large scale and small scale? I still do. And right now when I say large scale and small scale, I have to picture the fish to actually understand. Anybody else use the fish trick? Okay, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna blow your Wisconsin minds. You ready for this? When you hold the fish close, his scales are large. When you hold the fish far away, his scales are small. You'll never get mixed up again. Just think of the fish. Changed my life. So it's a cultural tool too. I mean, we use it for a geographic description of where we're from. We also use it socially. We can take our maps in the Midwest and we smack our thighs with them. And let's all say it together. Well, I suppose, which means time to go, right? And then you walk to the door and you say goodbye for about how long? Half hour, 45 minutes. You go to the car, you say goodbye, another half hour, another 45 minutes. And then your final greeting as you wave your map at your friends who finally left, you say, watch out for deer. What do we really mean when we say that to each other? What do we really mean? I love you. We can't just come out and say, I love you. We have to say, watch out for deer. Watch out for deer, everyone. What kind of geographer would I be, though, if I were just to take this at face value? I mean, let's get specific. I'm going to fire up the georeferencing tool and apply some control points to this map of Michigan. And let's just... Let's see how strong this claim of ours is. Yeah, not bad. It's workable. I think we've got a pretty good thing going here. Oh, shoot. What turned into a funny, laughable thing of beauty quickly turns into nightmare fuel. Upper Peninsula ruining it for everyone. Thanks a lot, UP. You'll see this when you close your eyes at night. Ha ha ha, it's hilarious. Well, now it's your turn. Come on, Wisconsin. Let's start adding some control points of your own. Let's see where we go. So, new meaning to I fat fingered it. So here's the actual georeferenced Wisconsin hand map. Not bad. Still workable. I'll give you a pass. Of course, I want everybody to use their hands as a map. Look at this little map of our shared states today. I feel close to you all. We have so much in common. Even these weirdos can do it. It's gross and kind of wrong, but that's okay. The best maps are a little gross and kind of wrong. I'll tell you though, Illinois really has like probably the best claim to a hand map. Let's be honest. Like there's hardly any distortion or casts that have to be applied after this. I mean, I guess if you're I mean, you can any state could do it. You just have to be a little bit more creative, right? I've learned they actually do the thumb. They actually in Idaho use the thumbs up to show. I think that's pretty cool. Good for them. Shame on me. I didn't show you how I made this map when I started. I used this as my title slide. What's going on? How would I make a map like this? I made it in ArcGIS Pro. We can all do this. Let's do this together. All right, here's Pro. Let me zoom in on the beautiful state of Wisconsin. So here we are. You might be thinking, what the deuce? This is kind of a weird looking state. These are the borders that you're used to seeing. I'm excited to announce that I've been empowered by the state of Michigan with to negotiate a trade. It's pretty exciting. Just keep this in mind. Like, what's the background behind this? Look. So we feel a little bit bad in Michigan for how things shook out in the Toledo War. Apparently a donkey died, but a little bit of Wisconsin died with it. There's that little strip, the Toledo strip. You're aware of that weird little notch in the bottom part of Michigan, and Ohio wanted it. And Michigan was like, whoa. The Northwest Ordinance that describes the shape of Michigan says the southern extreme of Lake Michigan, a line that shoots straight over. What's going on? And Ohio's like, let's use this map in making this state border. And you can see that the shape of Lake Michigan is a little bit shrunken. Even some fur trappers who knew better looked at this map and was talking to Congress. Was like, hold on, you guys. This map looks a little bit off. And Ohio was like, you shut your dirty fur trapping mouth. We love this map. It's the best map ever. And meanwhile, in Michigan, we're thinking, you win some and you lose some. This is my niece Cadence's quiz from, 12 years ago now. But boy, is it the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Cadence. So we lost Toledo and its sweet, sweet riches from the Erie Canal that connected, the Midwest to all that money out east. Sorry, we lost beautiful. Wait a second, that's Toledo, Italy. Turns out Toledo, Italy is a lot easier to find on Google image search. So Michigan lost Toledo, unfortunately, but the representatives were like, hey, Michigan, you're about to become a state, which means you're going to have some electoral college votes, and we don't want to get... Can we just bury the hatchet? Why don't you help yourselves to that peninsula of land to the north of you? Go ahead and make that part of your state, too. Michigan's like, yeah, no problem. All right, let's do this. Everybody wins. Ohio wins. Michigan wins. We love it. And we know Wisconsin got a bit of a raw deal, the short end of the stick on that deal. But you know what? You first come, first serve when it comes to statehood in geography. But, I am here to propose a trade. So we will offer you the western portion of Michigan's current Upper Peninsula for the safe return of this man. Michigan native. I'm not saying we want him for the Lions. We're all set. But maybe we could use him as Michigan State University, Spartans coach, or he could be a hometown hero, comes back to coach the Central Michigan University Chippewas of Mount Pleasant. I'm from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Matt LaFleur is also from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Matt LaFleur there. Where's he from? By golly, Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Same small, little glacially scraped windswept town that I'm from. There's Mount Pleasant, Michigan. It's a really lovely place. College town. It's got a football team. Maybe, somebody could come coach it. Let's take a look at our notable people. I'm going to scroll down to our notable people. Oh my goodness, Matt LaFleur is listed. Now let me tell you something. Actually, I'll ask you. You might be thinking, is he about the same age as Matt LaFleur? I wonder if Matt LaFleur and John are about the same age. And the answer to that is yes. Same small town, same age. If you want to ever stare into the abyss, be from a really small town and then have somebody who grew up in your town and is the same age as you become the head coach of one of the world's premier brands of all sport, right? You really look into the distance. Like, where did our paths diverge, right? Here's Matt, brilliant mind, incredible athleticism. Here's me around the same time, practice, whiffing on what is literally the easiest pitch that my coach was able to offer up to me. That notable list even has 2 LaFleurs, for crying out loud. Good grief, there's 2 notable LaFleurs from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Look at those sweet little baby boys. They're Green Bay deer. There's nothing wrong with that. Good for them. I'm happy for them. Good for the LaFleurs. Anyway, let's carry on. So I'm going to add some data here, and I'm going to look for hillshade. Dark. And I'm going to add this kind of dark gray set of tiles. And it's hard to see. This is hillshade, but not a lot of hillshade going on in Wisconsin. This is tile too, so I can't edit it. But what I want to do with this gray is use it to make a vintage colorized. You see those old black and white images that have been meticulously hand colored? That's kind of interesting, right? This guy is a Sami, one of the Nordic indigenous peoples of the extreme north. This is a black and white image that's been hand colorized. Let's try to do something like that in ArcGIS Pro. So I'm going to use a blend mode and just call it luminosity. Boom. Now I have all of the hues of the underlying imagery and the tones of the hillshade. And it's kind of flat. I'm going to add a different hillshade layer. So I'm going to go to Living Atlas. This time I'm going to search for hillshade. And I'm going to pull in this image service. And image service is just feeding me up these raw elevation pixels. I'll choose terrain hillshade. And this looks better. And I have some control over it too. We can see some of the terrain of Wisconsin. By the way, you have terrain. I had this to look at looking south from my house when I was a little kid. This is Michigan's terrain, right? Oh, but when I look north, it would look like this. Right? In fact, Mount Pleasant is so flat that Wikipedia actually has a little statement in there like, hey, look, we don't know either. Doesn't make any sense. There aren't any mountains or even hills. In fact, in the Midwest, there's a lot of trampolines in everybody's yard. In Michigan, there are, especially rural Michigan. Every home has a trampoline. I think it's just because kids realized I can see what people are up to 14 miles away if I get on this trampoline and jump a little bit. It's pretty effective. So let's take this terrain and actually turn it up to 11. I'm going to choose dynamic range. So now it's taking a look at all the shade only within my view, not like the shade of the Himalayas. You know what I mean? So dynamic range says only show me within the extent of my map. And instead of this min-max sort of thing, let me do a statistical separation of these colors. Now we got some bold terrain, am I right? It's a little bit gnarly, but that's okay. I like gnarly. I'll close this. And now I'm going to do a blend mode of soft light. And it'll just kind of bake those tones into my underlying shape of Wisconsin. And kind of interesting, we're off to a good start. Kind of reminds me of this map, this big old plaster wall map of Michigan that I saw at the Michigan History Museum. There's Danielle and the little girls there looking at it. It's kind of appealing. I don't know how they got it in there. I mean, this thing has to weigh like 14 tons. How do you install this thing? How do you move it around? It's a mystery. We do weird things in Michigan, things I don't ask questions about. So I'm going to add global background, easily my favorite layer in all of GIS. Global background is one rectangle that covers the whole world. And by default, it happens to be gray. What I want to do is boost my kind of drab tones of Wisconsin's map. I want to do a color correction layer. effectively what I want to do is break out that satisfying feeling like you get when you wash a deck and you can blast off all that scum and see this beautiful wood underneath. I don't know if you've ever done power washing before, but it's so satisfying. There's probably whole videos on YouTube channels dedicated to this. I'm going to make it a yellowish color. Once more, I'm going to visit my friends, the blend modes, and I'm going to say overlay. Boom! Now I've done a color correction to really make this a lot more vibrant. And I like it. It's too much. I'll dial it back. You don't know if you've gone over the edge until you've gone over it. You don't know where the edge is until you go over it, right? So always go over the edge, and then you just dial it back a little bit. But when I look at this map, I want to add a sense of like scale, like atmospheric perspective. Look at this beautiful Wisconsin farm, right? You've got the mist cloaking the low elevation areas in this hazy white, and it kind of becomes more transparent as you increase in elevation. Let's hack that for our map in ArcGIS Pro. I'm going to add some data, and I'll choose elevation. Just give me the raw digital elevation pixels for this. I'll hit OK. And oh my goodness, everything is black. Why is that? Because this is taking a look at the elevation for the whole world. So we're looking at the top of Mount Everest right down to sea level. And Wisconsin occupies a very narrow slice of that color scale. So let's break out our old friend dynamic range and say, only pay attention to the pixels within my view. Now I have some beautiful elevation. Really nice service. So let's play with the color scheme here. We aren't stuck with black and white. Black is low elevation. I'm going to make white low elevation. Higher elevations, I'm going to keep white, but I'm going to make it fully transparent. And I'll add a couple of these little color stops here. I'll snug them down just so they kind of cloak the low valleys. And let's see what we get. There we go. We get this kind of nice mist effect. Kind of, you can see the river valleys. You can see the low areas. You can see that plateau in the northern area of New Wisconsin. So I'm going to add another layer here. This time, I'm going to search for bathymetry light because I want to get rid of those gray lakes and just make them a nice light blue. Right now, water looks like water. Obviously, this blue part here is water. Anybody familiar with a little up-and-coming startup? They print maps and they do like they make a magazine. They're all about geography. It's national. Anyways, I've got a whole book of these maps, and I saw a bunch of maps like this out in the map gallery or the map area. You can take home a lot of them. So they like to do these things. They're called buffalo tints. You get a little edge color around the outside, pretty opaque, and then a more transparent version that's a little bit thicker. I asked Alan Carroll, who's a colleague of mine. He invented story maps. Alan Carroll. He used to be the chief cartographer at National Geographic. I said, Alan, what do you call those things, the inner tint band? I was calling them like tint bands. And he said, I don't know what they're supposed to be called, but we called them ribbons. I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to take Alan's word for it. He called them ribbons. And later I heard that they were called buffalo tints, but buffalo tints, I don't even understand. Ribbon makes more sense to me. Let's get something like this on my map. If you've ever tried to do something like this, just using a stroke, it's not so nice, and you get like weird jaggy flyaways, and you get gaps, and there's rounding, and it just doesn't look so good. Let's see how we can actually do it. So I'm going to open up the symbology panel for my vector shape of New Wisconsin. I'm going to add a fill layer, and then I'll drag it underneath my outline, and I'm going to add a great effect called donut, the delicious donut effect. It pokes a hole in our shape. Now I have only the outline showing, and I can make that as thick or as thin as I want, and I'll make it gold. Now I don't have any gaps, any slivers, there's no overlap, there's no missing spots. That's how you can do buffalo tints. That's how you can do ribbon inlays inside your polygons in ArcGIS Pro. And let's do it twice. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to make that second one thicker and semi-transparent because we're being fastidious. Drag this slider, transparency, okay. There we go. Okay, so now we have ribbon descriptions around Wisconsin. Let's add another symbol layer here. I'm going to add a stroke layer. I'm going to put this underneath because I want it to look like it's kind of hovering slightly over everything that's not Wisconsin. So I'm going to choose a gradient stroke. There's no drop shadow effect yet, but I'm going to make that stroke really thick, and I'm going to make it go from like a really dark green, maybe like a Packers green, to a transparent version of green. And now we've got this, I don't know if you can see it on the screens, but a little kind of You can't see it. You're just going to have to take my word for it. There's like a slight little green drop shadow effect happening here. So now I'm going to make this into a layout because I want this to be a desktop background for my computer. So I'm going to make the aspect ratio, like 1920 by 1080, which is typical computer screen. It's what my monitors are. And I'll snap my map to fill out my layout here. Here's my lovely map of New Wisconsin. And when I look at this, I think, I'm going to modify my view. I want Wisconsin to be as big as possible, so I'll activate this. I'll zoom in a little bit. Now I've got everything fitting the way that I want it to be. Oh my gosh. Who hates these? Do these guys ruin your life? Or what? Especially when you have an overview map, like a little overview map, and it's got this paragraph of a wall of text. You're like, get out of the way, overview map. I don't need you there. And it's stuck. You can't select it. You can't edit it. You can't change its size. Or can you? Let's go to the Insert menu. I'm just going to skip that, apparently. Anyway, go to the Insert menu and choose Credits, and then you can click there and make them as big or as small as you want. You can even drag them off screen, but you wouldn't do that because you're not a monster. Keep the credits where they are. You can make them small and you can make them white, just like I did, except I dropped that frame in my presentation. Forgive me. The best way to make your map authoritative and fancy looking, and like it was made by scientists or at least people wearing lab coats, is if you give it a graticule. Am I right? You put a graticule on a map and all of a sudden everybody's like, whoa, okay, I'm ready to follow orders. So let's, I like a graticule so much that I misspelled graticule so I can make this dumb rad pun. Apparently it's raticule, but I had to look it up. I'll be honest, I had to look it up how to spell that. Okay, let's go. Let's add a graticule. There's my graticule. And I'm going to insert my labels and add a text here. My text is solid. Actually, let me hit escape. I think I've overloaded my computer with all these slides. How do I start it from my current slide? Is there a keyboard command? Shift F5. Will that start at the beginning?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm trusting you. All right, we're back. Okay, you can see my cursor moving? Okay, I'm going to give that kind of graded text and outline because I want it to look like it's kind of floating in the map a little bit. I want to give it like a drop shadow-ish effect, and I'll make that thicker. The cool thing about Pro is it treats text like polygons. You can symbolize them just like you can any polygon on your map, which is neat, which means you can do all kinds of weird, unnatural things. I'm going to give this a Packers colored drop shadow too. So now it looks like our land is kind of floating off. I'm going to use the eyedropper to get a couple of greens, make it transparent at the edge. I like how this looks. We're cooking. Okay. Next, I'll copy this and paste it. What year is it? 2005, 2015? Good grief, 2025. So I'll put this down here and I will reverse the gradient so that the bold side is down there at the bottom. And then I'll make a copy of this and I'm going to type in annual conference and I'll make it smaller so it fits. I'm a stickler for everything just kind of being aligned when it comes to multiple lines of text. They all have to line up with each other or I won't be able to sleep that night. Anybody with me on that? And my trick is to use letter spacing. Okay, so now we have a title. But there's a lot going on here, and Wisconsin kind of getting covered up, and Minnesota and Michigan are kind of stealing the terrain show, which is weird and kind of ironic. And I'm like, let me show you an illustration of what I'm talking about. Here I am at the Esri UC Thursday night party. Oh, here I am at the Esri UC Thursday night party. Now I get it, right? So let's do something similar with our layout. I'm going to insert a rectangle to our layout. I'm going to drag it and fill the whole extent of my layout. And I'm going to give it a fill that is a gradient. And I'll make this fill go from left to right, and it'll be white on the edges and then transparent white in the middle. Okay, color properties, add a color stop, just make that middle one fully transparent. And hit OK. Oh, okay. Now I have this kind of neat little vignette sort of thing that's hovering over the map and under my accoutrement text that I've added there. I feel like I've covered up too much of Wisconsin, though, right? It's like Shaggy and Scoob when they sneak off and eat their sandwiches. I didn't understand that joke when I was a kid. They're always hungry, right? They open the mystery machine and just smoke pours out of it. What I want is for Wisconsin to be removed from this layout and just kind of float on top of everything else. Wouldn't that be cool? I like maps that cover up the text and the label. And it's like, wow, pro made this, right? Let's hack this and get Wisconsin to float on top of our text. How do we do that? How do we nestle our text behind the shape of Wisconsin? I'll show you. So I'm going to open up the View tab and Catalog pane. I'm going to make a copy of this map, an exact copy. I'm just going to duplicate it. I'll call it just like, Wisconsin, man. And I'll open this one up. And I want it to be only Wisconsin. I need to get rid of everything that's not Wisconsin here. So I'm going to come over to my analysis tools. And believe it or not, I'm actually going to fire up some geoprocessing. I'm going to use the erase function, pairwise erase. Pairwise erase? Why does it want me to use pairwise erase now? There's erase. What's pairwise erase? What does that even mean? So I had to Google pairwise. It's like, yeah, that's what I thought it meant. What does that have to do with geoprocessing? I asked people about this. And it turns out they had to make breaking changes to the geoprocessing tools. And they couldn't just change the existing geoprocessing tools. They had to make new ones, unfortunately, or else it would break everybody's chains that they had already made. And so they had to come up with new names for all of the most basic geoprocessing tools. So what do they do to add a new name? They said, pairwise. Sometimes I imagine myself being in the meetings. And I know that in software, it's hard to come up with it. Naming things is sometimes the hardest part, right? And I think of like this junior developer who's like, I got an idea. And they're like, yeah, and no, it's a bad idea. Never mind. No, let's hear it. We're just no bad ideas here. I don't know, maybe pairwise. And everybody's like, you son of a gun, you've done it. We're going to prefix all of our tools with pairwise. They put them on their shoulders. They hoist them around. Big party in Redlands. So here we go. I'm going to choose global background as my input. I'm going to stamp out the shape of Wisconsin, and the result will be not Wisconsin. I'll hit run, and boom, there's not Wisconsin. And I'm going to use this as my mask. I'm going to check what's going on. Oh. No! This ever happened to you? Well, I'll show you a trick. If this ever, sometimes you can fix, sometimes it's not too late. Let me just. Come on, you're going. Come on. Gotcha. Sometimes cardboard cutouts can get jammed in your installation. And all you have to do is just yank it out of there and go back about your business. Remember that the next time you see that screen. Okay, where were we? Let me mask out all of these layers. I only want Wisconsin. I want everything outside of Wisconsin to be effectively invisible. Select the layer, mask by not Wisconsin. Select the layer, mask by not Wisconsin. So on and so forth until all I get is beautiful, glorious, new Wisconsin. Turn all these off. And here I am in my layout. And I'm going to copy this and paste it. Now I've just made a copy of my existing map. And if I open up the properties for this, I'm going to switch it. So here's the map that it's pointing to. My map frame is now just like Wisconsin, man. And now I have a shape of Wisconsin covering up everything else. It's popping out in my layout, right? It's covering up the text. There's no cover up text command, right? You got to think weird and deviously in how to misuse geoprocessing tools. And there we go. This is the map of New Wisconsin that I've been happy to propose to you for the safe return of Matt LaFleur. Keep it in mind. We'll take a vote at the end of this. I threw this up on social media, and I got some pretty interesting comments. I thought there would be more outrage. Frankly, nobody in Michigan complained, which I thought was kind of interesting. Somebody thought it was a pretty good idea for in-state tuition. Very practical folks over here. This was kind of fun. I mean, for the most part, people were like, oh, yeah, let's go for it. I like it. And we have, there's always somebody who will give you their honest opinion about your work if you share it. If you're interested in using this map as your new background so you can show people this proposal of New Wisconsin, feel free to scan this QR code and download a version of it. One of these will take you to a nice high-resolution version of this map. And I was hoping I would hear it, but I won't. Yes. You're no stranger to love. You know the rules, and so do I. He's from Wisconsin. Just kidding, he's not from Wisconsin. He looks like he should be from Wisconsin, though. Oh, there I am in Michigan. So my first job out of college was with a Native American tribe on a little island in the Atlantic. Beautiful people, the Wampanoag tribe of Aquinnah. And this was their tribal headquarters building where I worked. And believe me, I needed this job. I needed it so badly, and I was so happy to get full-time employment. There's Danielle with number 1 on the way. For reference, there are these people keyed to our current photograph. There, A and B, subject A, subject B. And it's actually the island of Martha's Vineyard, if you can believe it. I used to be a garbage man there in the summers, and so I had this connection. I was like, hey, maybe I could, you're a GIS person. Oh, and they fell for it. And I got to do all kinds of cool stuff on the lovely little island, made these little interactive maps where you could click on things. This is the year 2001. 2001, interactive data visualization on the web. Look at this erosion thing. So one of my first duties there was to go geo-reference. How am I for time? Way over? Okay. I feel like I've been going on for like 2.5 hours. So do you. I can only imagine how you feel. Okay, perfect. So they sent me out there with Trimble. Is Trimble here?
Yes.
All right. Sent me out with a Trimble backpack, pack-mounted GPS unit with the little satellite on the top. I don't know, $10,000. It was worth more than my life. And they trusted me to go out there with it in the swamps and say, hey, John, there's an old ruins of our village. The tribal village is in the forest now. We want you to go actually just geocode the location of it and get some of the building corner points and stuff so we can use it for, grant applications and protection and, stuff like that. All right. So I slapped on the Trimble pack and went out into the woods, and I was looking and looking and looking. And I was like, I'm in the place where they said it should be. And I'm not seeing like this ghost town or ruined village. And then I noticed that I was kind of surrounded by these little depressions in the ground. And the closer I looked at these depressions, I realized that there was like a ring of stone rubble around it, generally all covered in moss and detritus. And they had kind of collapsed in. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was looking for. This is the village. This is like the homes. These are the foundations that were laid with stone, all by hand, all this important hard work that was done. And I started geocoding it, not geocoding it, collecting its geographic locations. And I was happy to actually find it, but then I noticed something else around these little ruins, right? These little clusters of daffodils just blooming, doing their thing 150, 200 years later. The hard, important work of building homes and the lives that were there, the hard work, the stuff that needed to be done 200 years later is, it's gone. The stuff that remained 200 years later was the love and beauty that the people who lived there invested in the work that they did. They didn't just do the hard work of building stone foundations, right? And they didn't last forever. It was important to build those foundations, but what really lasted was the love and the joy that they put into that process, and they planted all around there. And I think that's one of the coolest aspects of what we get to do, right? Every one of us in here is a maker. We make for a living. It's in us. If we don't start making something, we're just going to go a little bit crazy. And the beautiful thing is we can make something and put it out, and it gets into somebody else's mind and somebody else's heart. Somebody who sees dresses as white and gold or blue and black, right? And they can take that and pass it on to the next person. And I think there's just something lovely about the work that we get to do that's unique and fun. And this is one of my favorite quotes in all of song, and I think it applies to all of us here today. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Watch out for deer.
We have a little surprise for Doug, and just watch the screen. And you're gonna go back to the sound work.
That's my office with Kenneth Fields' eclipse map. There's a forest hat.
John?
That's great.
John!
Breaking and entering, Ken Field, typical.
I don't think he's even here. He's not even here. I've come all this way. He's not even here. Probably up gallivanting somewhere or other. What's this? Well, I wondered where he got all his ideas from. Now I know. Oh, wait, hang on.
Which is where I keep it.
There's the other one as well. Unbelievable.
Shameless.
What?
I said shameless.
Has he left his camera on? He's left his camera on. Oh, not been here. Not been here. Bye.
Thank you. Ken Field. That was Ken Field, everybody.